What they're basically saying is that this is going to be your sole option for proving your legal identification. So from the perspective of the government and businesses, you don't exist until you take part in that system. So you're automatically cut out of the economic system, and by extension, everything else if you don't play by their rules. Yeah, it's going to be one of those problem reaction solution scenarios where they've already figured out what they want to be and how to get there. Following this post-Bretton Woods era of financial regulation, it would take a major catastrophe comparable to World War II or even more disruptive for them to decide that a new system of financial control is necessary. During his speech at the Paris Global Finance Summit almost a year ago, French President Emmanuel Macron stressed the critical need of a public financial shock to fight climate change. At around the same time, Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum WEF, shared this view and called for a radical reorganization of the international monetary system. The United States, China, and all other countries and industries, according to Schwab, must change. This includes the tech and oil and gas sectors. According to Schwab, who contributed to an article posted on the WEF website, capitalism needs a major reset. According to well-known investigative journalist Whitney Webb, these remarks herald the advent of a brand new global monetary system, originally planned to replace the existing Bretton Woods system with one based on the blockchain. The goal of this new system, according to Webb, is to allow total censorship and surveillance of all of our activities. Several world leaders and WEF affiliates have spoken out in support of her warnings. Among them are Macron and Mark Carney, who served as governor of the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England, respectively, not to mention the United Nations Special Envoy for Climate Action and Financing. Three aspects of the emerging global order have been emphasized by Carney: digital identification, digital currency issued by central banks, CBDCs, and ESG-like indicators. The ultra-rich and powerful, including Silicon Valley executives like Larry Fink, who wants to tokenize all existing assets and commodities, as well as the natural world, are driving this new world order agenda, according to Webb, who recently warned Mark Goodwin, writer and editor-in-chief at Bitcoin Magazine, that governments worldwide are supporting. In an effort to further entrench their power and domination, the ultra-rich will soon possess and trade all natural resources, including forests, rivers, mountains, and lakes, warns Webb. Webb warned that Schwab's ideology and his powerful allies like Macron are about to realize their ambitious and possibly disastrous plans for the New World Order, highlighting two key components of these plans: digital ID and the tokenization of the natural world during her conversation with Goodwin. Because digital ID isn't restricted to the financial system, right? It's also a major enabler of surveillance in this context, since it allows us to know everyone's transactional level activities and adjust micromanagement accordingly. It's similar to when you provide details about your travels, health, employment, education, and access to things like the internet, social media, and telephones. In this age of artificial intelligence, they are able to combine and analyze all that data. Do you realize this? They might utilize that AI system to exert unprecedented levels of control over humans, depending on how it is refined. In my opinion, the digital ID and the CBDC's private sector equivalence scheme have always been meant to be one and the same system. The United Nations, the Bureau of International Statistics, and other similar organizations have been working on this for a long time, and their materials portray each as crucial to the other. Talking about how this is inclusive, basically the whole pitch for digital ID is that everyone needs a legal ID so they can get to the services they need, Accordingly, the plan is for everyone to be a part of it. Plus, they connect it to the idea of banking the unbanked and financial inclusion, both of which you said before. However, the way these systems are designed to work is actually quite exclusive. They have effectively stated that this is the sole means by which you may demonstrate your legal identity given the way they are structured. So from the perspective of the government and businesses, you don't exist until you take part in that system. So you're automatically cut out of the economic system, and by extension everything else if you don't play by their rules. Therefore, you are either excluded from everything or you must join the monitoring state. Therefore, it is fundamentally exclusive despite its inclusionary marketing. Can you explain how this mechanism is activated? What is the best way to? To what extent can we adopt Mark Carney's style? The fact that they call it the new Bretton Woods movement gives it away, in my opinion. Thus, a new system of financial control was established following World War II, and this was known as Bretton Woods, and this is really an attempt to establish a new system of financial oversight that was announced long before that crisis, but it will likely require a crisis of that magnitude to be executed and to gather support to a large extent. And if you believe in the theory that all wars are bankers' wars, and I think there's a lot of evidence to back that up, then it seems like this could be the beginning of a problem reaction solution scenario. After all, they've already planned out the new system of financial governance they want to implement after this new Bretton Woods moment. All they need is a major event like World War II or something equally disruptive to make it official. Yeah, I find it fascinating that when someone knows the debt bubble is about to burst and wants to make it a part of the new system, one way to make sure everyone goes along with it is to have as many debt obligations recorded and visible so that when the system collapses, they'll all be accounted for. All debt bubbles will burst at the same time as the current one. It will be a whirlwind of experiences. Japan won't merely be mentioned as being fine. America is screwed. That won't be the way it works. It will all happen all at once. Therefore, in this strange way, you should aim to accrue as much debt as possible just before the bubble bursts, so you may promise to pay off each individual loan. If you want to be a part of this new universal tokenized ledger, all you have to do is sign up, take a photo, and provide your biometrics. When it comes to Larry Fink in particular, it appears like there's a strong desire to create new asset classes that can support and extend their current business model for a very long time. The concept of natural assets, sometimes known as the economy of nature, is one of these things that I've been discussing in my writing for quite some time. The Intrinsic Exchange Group, an initiative of the Rockefeller Foundation and the Multilateral Development Banking System, is one of the organizations that has been pushing this agenda forward. On their website, they feature a graphic titled The Opportunity, which details the current global economic asset base and their characteristics. There are 6 times as many assets in the economy as there are now if we could just unlock the natural assets that make up the natural economy. So it's clear that BlackRock's goal as an asset manager is to acquire and control as many non-financial natural assets as possible. This will allow them to maintain their current practices, exert more control over the existing financial system and its users, and transform the entire planet into a marketable financial product. With Larry Fink's openness about risk management serving as a compass throughout his career, it's intriguing to consider this development in the context of blockchain technology and the ultimate goal of having everything recorded on a universal ledger that can be monitored and traced. Having everything automated and subject to surveillance allows his risk management AI system, Aladdin, to exert control over everything in ways that are truly unprecedented, in my opinion, to their advantage. And so as we enter this new era of financial governance, there is a tremendous effort to transform all of the infrastructure into this quote-unquote green. I suppose we could call it a green model or decarbonization. Either way, it involves some kind of interaction with the international carbon market. While it's not required, BlackRock is clearly trying to establish itself as a major player in the race to build new infrastructure throughout the world. They bought out one of the world's largest infrastructure developers. I believe their name is GIP. Not long ago at Davos, I believe one of their senior executives mentioned how they are placing a huge future bet on infrastructure. Not only that, but it will rank among the most lucrative investment prospects in the coming decades. Therefore, I believe they have lofty goals, and I have no doubt they will succeed if nobody knows about this, but we shall see. Regarding the natural asset corporation model, one aspect is that it is feasible to simply visit a forest, river, or lake, identify the asset, and then issue shares in the asset, be it a lake, forest, or whatever, at no cost. Then you sell these shares to asset managers, sovereign wealth funds, or whatever, and have an initial public offering IPO to generate all this money, simply claiming an external entity as your own, then dividing it up and selling the pieces to others is a certain way to create money out of thin air. And you can pull that off. And they're doing that while portraying it as the one solution to save the Earth, the natural world, which is enormous and expansive.